So Matt, here we are. We're at the Athletes Village here at the downtown Los Angeles Convention Center, and we also have had some events over at the JW Marriott. So this is Les Mills Live. It's the very first time they've actually done live filming, which is a multi-million-dollar exercise where they film the programs here with over 100 countries participating, 20 and 30 people on stage. It's incredible. They've had a global summit, which means they have their trainers, their presenters, their assessors have all been in. There's been about 300 or 400 of them. We've just come from a business summit, a business live, where key accounts and partners of Les Mills are in there learning from people like Adidas and Meta and Sweatworks and just panel discussions, all of those things, all with a view to shaping up for the future of fitness. So we've got instructors here, we've got consumers here, we have got brands here, and there's been a real amalgamation of those brands that I mentioned before, and they're all coming together in this amazing journey. They've also tapped into local art, so you've got some beautiful walls back here that are literally being painted in real time. So it's just an absolute celebration of the brand after 4 years of pretty much going through a pandemic and coming out of it. So, wow, I've just learned so much. What have you taken away from this event?
I think first thing, it was interesting, we interviewed a gentleman from head of marketing for Adidas, and I think a big takeaway from me is how people are looking at this new generation that's coming up. One, why it's so important for everybody, particularly in fitness, and then two, how they're addressing some of the needs, because they're clearly very different to a lot of other generations, but extremely influential. So learned quite a bit about that, and that's something that we'll talk about in the interview that's coming along. I think didn't really understand too much about Les Mills outside of Body Pump, really. That's kind of what I knew. Extremely cutting edge company. Everything that they do is very well thought through. The employees that you talk to within the company, extremely passionate, extremely smart, extremely considered with everything that they're thinking about and their approach on the future. So very impressed with the company overall, and in particular some of the technology that they're involved in. So I had a play around with the new body combat.
Body combat,
right?
Yep. The VR.
VR.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm always very skeptical about that type of stuff, but I could see myself doing it, which is very strange because I don't normally gravitate to that kind of stuff. But what they're doing there is fantastic, and could just imagine where you could take that. That was impressive. And then final thing I would say is the I guess connecting all the different audiences. They really understand the position of the club business, the trainer, and then the end user, and they seem to be really taking a lot of time to understand all of those different journeys. I think some of the conversations that we've had on the podcast is very much about what happens in the club and out of the club, and they certainly take a much more holistic view about how all those things can come together, how it can be really simplified. So great episode. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please leave us some comments, tell us what you think, if you've got any questions, and also let us know, and I hope you enjoy it.
Enjoy. Well, look, huge welcome. We have Clive Ormerod here, who's the CEO for Les Mills, and congratulations. This is what I understand, the very first live filming here in Los Angeles. Tell us about that. I know that there's lots of events happening.
Yeah, it's a massive week for us. So it's the first time we've actually done a filming in the US.
Thank you.
And it's one of our biggest markets, and we've got thousands of instructors here, so being able to do something special and give back to them is really important. But we're also doing a few other things off the back of it as well. So we've had our global summit, which is we've had 400 trainers from all around the world here for the last 4 days. And that's been about education, upskilling, launching new innovation, making sure they understand where the company's going. And then we've gone into live. And just before starting live, we've got a fit business with all of our club customers. So we've tried to line 3 things up together. And it's also our first big epic moment with Adidas. So our partnership launched earlier this year, but this is the first moment we've been able to activate together. And I've just been over in the retail village, and it's pretty special. If you look at what we've done in lives before versus what we're doing now, it's just absolutely night and day. So it's really exciting, and I think it just hopefully signifies the change that the company continues to go on.
Great, so we just sat through an amazing Adidas presentation and really talking about the future, and there was a lot about generational shift. Tell us just a little bit about that, and in bringing one of the biggest, the biggest sports brand with the biggest content brand. We're probably the biggest, second biggest news after Messi, probably, I'd say, here in the United States. But tell us a little bit about where you're shifting innovation with the shifting market generationally.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about staying relevant.
Right.
So we're shifting with the customer.
Yeah.
And as the customer evolves and as Gen Z comes through as the biggest gym guy, we need to make sure as a company we continue to stay relevant to them. So that's what we've been working on. And we've got 12 new Gen Z products in the pipeline.
Okay.
We've launched one already called Strength Development.
Great.
That launched earlier this year. Yeah. And we're launching this weekend, we're doing our global unveiling of what's called Les Mills Shapes, which is based on yoga, bar, and Pilates. It's strength-based, but it's based on yoga, bar, and Pilates. And it's pretty awesome. I've done it in test back in New Zealand quite a few times. We've just launched it with media over in the village, and the feedback has been phenomenal. It's also very on trend.
Right.
So from that perspective, the timing is great. And we're doing our global launch on Les Mills Plus and in clubs on August the 7th.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then in the way that you talked about this event, it's so many different touch points. Tell us what Les Mills is doing in terms of innovation, because you have digital content, you've got live content, you're in the metaverse,
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And if you go and walk around the Athletes Village, you almost sort of see the whole story, like you suggest, Emma. So we've obviously tried to make sure we get our instructor communities engaged and excited, and that's what the Global Summit was all about.
Yes.
Now we've gone into Fit Business Live with all of our club partners, existing and new club prospects. So we've got quite a few partners that are not yet with Les Mills, but ideally will join. And then we're going into what we're calling how we engage and inspire the mover, which is the end user. And that's what really Les Mills Live is about, bringing all three together. So if you walk around the Athletes Village, you go in and you see what Adidas has brought, which is amazing product. So great training product. We know that our instructors, trainers, and even movers just want good kit. It's a great product. In there as well, we've got a space where we're collabing with the likes of Monster Cat and others, because music is a massive part of our business.
What's Monster Cat?
Monster Cat's a global record label.
Right.
And they work with artists and musicians all around the world. And they've got a lineup for us on one of the stages in there where they've just got new up-and-coming artists playing all day. So it's about bringing together music, which is so important to our products, and showing how music really is something that we focus on in a big way.
How do you, just on that one, how do you, I guess, we'll just listen to the presentation from Adidas and understanding the different generational differences, and my guess is within those you've then got quite a vast spread of musical interests as people kind of have the ability to explore a lot more different things. How are you as an organisation sort of figuring out that whole music in terms of what people want, based on the fact that you're kind of dealing with, the X's to the...
Yeah, you do it based on what makes the product as good as possible.
Okay.
So music to move you. Music to make you feel something special. That's ultimately what it's about. So how we've looked at it is, I guess one of our messages at the moment within the business, but also to the market, is fitness has become such a key pillar of popular culture, much like music. Music means a lot of different things to people. Fitness means a lot of different things to people. So we continue to use user-based research studies to tell us what we need to do and how we produce it. We've just done a massive study with Gen Z. We spoke to over 4,000 next generation movers and athletes to understand their fitness needs. So we just try and take what the customer wants.
Is there a difference between what was the presentation about? Is it, I get confused with the letters now. The
Gen Z?
Gen Z are the younger ones, the youngest group, Is there a difference between the styles of music? I know when I listen to some of the stuff my kids are into now, there's definitely a difference from what I like.
There's definitely a difference, but I think you don't want to be defined necessarily by a music choice or style. And if you look at our products and programs, we go from our signature programming, which is Body Pump, Body Combat, all the way down to what we're launching now with Gen Z and our new program focused on Gen Fit, which is this Gen Z and millennial end of the market. And you want to make sure that you have some scale. Because at the end of the day, we're a company that's about getting people moving, regardless of who you are. We talk a lot about Gen Z also being a mindset. So let's not be too fixated on just age, because mindset is a pretty critical part of it.
Yes.
And if you can encourage more people to move and stay active, regardless of their age, then you're winning. Which for us is a key outcome. One thing I just want to go back to your initial question that I don't want to miss is on the innovation piece.
Right.
You touched on, you asked about VR as well. So we're launching new products this week, which is Les Mills Shapes is one of the ones I mentioned, and that's a Gen Z focused workout based on yoga, bar and Pilates, strength based. But we've also got, we understand the real importance of using technology to reach more people. We have to.
Yes.
Whether you're young or old, technology can help us reach more people.
Yes.
So absolutely we're focused on live.
Yes.
The live experience is the pinnacle of our business because your exertion goes up 14%, your enjoyment is 13% better, but you also want to reach more people outside of the four walls. And we believe we're one of the only companies in the world that can do that really well in club and also at home or outdoors based on in-club workouts or Les Mills Plus, being able to take you further. But VR is something that we launched just last year, which is virtual reality. Yes. And VR is something we thought, let's give it a go. Right. We're not sure what that platform is like. So we launched Body Combat on it, and it has been phenomenal. Not only in terms of helping us appeal to new people, but also just the message around innovation and reaching audiences that just would never have considered us before. So some of the partnerships we've been able to do off the back of that is one is with Meta. So we've got 20 people from Meta here all weekend. Right. And we've got 6 VR booths at the show. Right. And people are just rolling through testing this product. And then we've also done a launch with Pico, which is the market leader in China. Yes. So we were on the 2 biggest platforms globally, and we've had coming up 500,000 downloads of just Body Combat VR, which was a test that we launched last year.
Introducing the next big thing in functional training, the Escape Barrow, a revolutionary training tool that combines a loaded farmer's carry with a sled push to develop hip, grip, and core strength. Developed in partnership with Pete Holman, inventor of the TRX Rip Trainer and Nautilus Glute Drive, the Escape Barrow can be rolled, pushed, dragged and carried. The Escape Barrow packs a punch with an impressive load capacity of 440 pounds, and with a 2-stage galvanized paint covering process, it's also ideal for outdoor use. So head over to escapefitness.com/barrow. That's escapefitness.com/barrow to find out more. Enjoy the rest of this episode.
The thing I loved about that story, I was speaking to Dan and Rach, who helped create the program, and they are on the on the platform. What was interesting to me, and you brought up that point, you were all kind of delighted and surprised that this completely found a new audience. 100%. So this is about using technology to find the people, not trying to change the people to like what we like. And I heard it in the room with the business people, we've got to stop thinking like that. Find the people where they are. They're looking at life through their thumbs. They're in different places. And I think you got 20,000 people, brand new, unique, immediately, like 3 seconds after you launched. And it was fascinating hearing that. And they loved it. And it's a different platform. I'm dodging stuff. I'm not doing it in response necessarily to an instructor, but I'm getting the same workout, falling in love with it, back to that feeling piece again. And then I even heard that they're now even trying to go and find a club or find a community in the real world.
There's a significant amount of people that engage with us on Les Mills Plus that have never done a live workout in a club before. And so what we're now putting into our Les Mills Plus app is find a class. To drive people to clubs. And we know that when they go to a club, their enjoyment is more, their exertion is better, they're going to stay in the category and they're going to stay in fitness. One of the biggest challenges in the category is people fall out of it.
That's right.
So they start working out and then they leave.
Yes.
Whether that be in a club or on a platform. So our biggest opportunity is to keep people in it.
Yes.
And I think technology helps play a critical part of that. So, I think when you go through the Athletes Village, you'll see Les Mills, you'll see how Adidas shows up to make that experience better. You'll see partnerships such as VR. We've also got an innovation lab over there, which is where we launched innovation tickets. There's 50 at a time, and they're free for people that are coming through, and they can experience strength development, shapes, etc. Our new program, and they sold out within 24 hours.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's pretty wicked. I mean, we've sold 10,500 tickets for live this weekend. Yes. And I'll give you an example. For London, we had 7,200. So it's significantly bigger, and the experience continues to become better. We're leveling up is what we're trying to say.
So as an organisation then, you know, it sounds like you're an events business. You're living in the sort of, is it what would you call the metaverse? And then also in club, like you've kind of got like these different things emerging, I guess, in some respects.
Do, but at the core of what we do, we're a fitness content business.
Right.
Yeah. We want to make the best fitness content we can, and that is through the perfection of the curation of the content. We've been doing it for 55 years. You know better than most. We have had a long history here of taking music, taking research and science, and then taking movement to help put that alongside a motivating instructor to deliver an experience that's second to none.
And just on that, you know, listening to some of the conversations, and we've had some interviews and discussions earlier as well about this. Like, there's a lot of talk about segmentation and different people, generations. A lot of conversation around how to address people slightly differently and personalize things, and there's so many different verticals. The other way to look at it, which is the way I've got from you, is also there's also a lot of similarities. You know, there's a lot of common things in all of this. So when you boil down what you're doing, if there was a few things that are in common with all the different age demographics based on some of your research, what would you say connects everybody through the eyes of Les Mills?
Yeah, I think delivering joyful experiences. People want to be able to work out and leave that feeling great about life. There's so many workouts you can do out there, which is, you know, there's the cult of the grind. We don't want that. We want to be delivering joyful experiences that push you hard, make you feel something, but the endorphins that it releases off the back of it, you just can't beat it.
Yes,
and that is what we believe our product creation process allows us to do. We've been doing it for 55 years. So we think we've started to perfect it, and it changes all the time, but that's just staying relevant to customer needs in terms of music type or movement type or the trends within it. But really the consistency across, regardless of your age or your mindset, is joyful movement. We talk often about the best workout is the one that you actually do.
100%.
So let's start with that. Then let's motivate people to keep coming back for more, and that's where our trainers and world-class instructors come into place. And then let's give people a reason to help fall in love with fitness.
Yeah, that's right. And that goes right back to our namesake, Les Mills Senior in 1968, who said exactly that, fall in love with fitness, right? My last question for you, Clive. You've been in the role 5.5 years.
I've been in Les Mills.
In Les Mills, 5.5 years.
I started in marketing for a couple of years, and I've been in this group CEO role now for 3.5 years.
For 3.5 years. So you've led this business through a pandemic. As we come out the other side, a lot has changed. What are you seeing worldwide, like in the trends? Like, where is the US versus Europe, perhaps Asia? What are you sort of seeing at a top level there?
In our category?
In our category, and just what's happening with the world of I guess, group fitness and club market.
So I think at a high level, there's this real shift towards mental health and well-being.
100%.
So how do we really help provide something to the end customer, the mover, that helps them feel better about life? We believe as a company, we've never been better placed to be relevant right now. You talked about our mission, which is creating a fitter planet. At the core of that is healthy people, healthy planet. You know, we plant trees for every new club customer, instructor, and Les Mills mover that joins us. We planted 1 million trees last year. And we're going to plant over 1 million trees this year. But that is about a healthy planet. The healthy people part is mental health. That would be the single biggest. Then I come down one layer, which is inactivity. So how do we get more people working out more often? Just get them off the couch. And so how do we just help people move? And then they can talk about working out for training. So that's a key one. And then I'd say the third one, Emma, is around, you just have to stay relevant. So you've got to continue to innovate. I mean, I've worked at some interesting companies. I've worked in 4 different industries now. Fitness is my 4th. And the consistent piece from all of them is you have to keep innovating. And that's what we're doing right now. You know, I worked at Nike for a long time. And now working with Adidas, I see real similarities, constant innovation. And Gen Z programming for us is about new innovation to make sure we're providing what the market wants. So those 3 things, I think, at a high level. And then the biggest opportunity for companies is execution. Yeah, you can all talk about these amazing new ideas and staying relevant to the market. It's never been more competitive than it is right now in the category.
That's right.
Never been more competitive. Yeah. Everyone's wanting to get a part of it, whether you're a sport brand or an apparel company or everything else. We just need to execute really well and show our club partners and instructors the value that we're able to share with them.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest challenge, and that's what Fit Business is about, is bring club partners in, show them these industry high challenges and trends, and then how we can work with them to service that.
Yeah, great.
So my final question in terms of trends, like what are the product trends? You mentioned some of the strength-based stuff. Like what are 2 or 3 things that people are wanting now?
Strength.
Really?
Yeah. It is all about strength right now, but then variations within strength. Yes. So if I use shapes, for example, it's strength-based, it's new modern movement, but it's built off yoga, Pilates and bar. And if you go and do it, you'll see all those 3 elements coming, but it leaves you feeling strong and empowered.
Right.
This could be an absolute game changer for us.
Great.
You know, we talk often about the next big program, Les Mills Shapes. That needs to be it. It's got the potential to.
Right.
So I think hopefully that answers your question. I think within there's variations, but being able to pull bar, being able to pull yoga, being able to pull Pilates into that and design it in the right way offers us something quite unique. And the awesome piece with it is you can do it in a studio. So you're using sliders and bands versus big pieces of equipment that are expensive and massive investments.
Yeah, great.
So being able to capitalize on that, you can do it in a studio and you can do it at home. It's massively accessible. When we talk to the 4,000 Gen Z movers in this research that we did recently, the biggest ask was, how do you help make fitness more accessible to more people? So how do you help bring more people into the category, and then give them real joyful experiences to stay in the category? And then how do we show clubs and instructors the value that we can bring as a partner? That's when we really nail our ecosystem. It's not just about the end mover, it's ultimately working with clubs and instructors to fill studios, get those people in, and then give them a digital experience that allows them to do it outside of the 4 walls as well.
Yeah, great. Love
Fantastic.
It. Incredible. Keep going. This is awesome.
You're never standing still.
Ever.
No. And you know, our business is going through a lot of change right now because the industry is going through a lot of change. Coming out of COVID, nothing is consistent. No. The only thing that is consistent is that tomorrow will be different.
Yeah,
and the change within our business has to match that. Yeah. So we're 100% up for this, and I absolutely love it.
Great. Yay.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time.
Clive.
Good to chat.
So really excited. Stuart Wells joining us from Adidas. Now, you've come from Austria.
Yep.
VP of Marketing and Content.
That's right.
Tell us what that means, really, and welcome. And that's not an Austrian accent.
No, it's not. It's a mixed up accent because I'm actually born in Edinburgh, grew up in England, and then I've been travelling around for the last 14 years.
Right.
So it's a mess. But no, so I'm over from Austria because Adidas's mobile centre is in Austria, and what I focus on within my job are the apps that we develop and roll out for sports, and also I sometimes get involved in some of the commerce apps as well. So we're very much like the mobile centre. And what do I do? Well, we've got a ton of millions of engaged consumers who use our apps. And they use it to track their runs, to have workouts, and to find ways, and it sort of connects to our purpose. We're looking to help people make change, right? So Adidas's purpose is through sport, we have the power to change lives. We pretty much know that you don't change your life just by buying a pair of shoes or a shirt.
Really?
We like it when people do. We like it when people do. But what we want to do is inspire people and engage them so that the changes that they want to make, we can help them do that. And we do that through our mobile platforms.
Great. So everyone's incredibly excited by these 2 heavyweights coming together with Les Mills. Tell us a little bit about how that's going to play out in coming years.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we're excited to be working with Les Mills. We think they bring a lot to us, and we can bring a lot to them as well. So we think it's a great partnership. And the way we view it is, there's very few single platforms that particularly Gen Z consumers are going to just 100% use 100% of the time. So we know that our strength will be our ability to work with other partners and offer a much more rounded, holistic offer to these consumers. One of the ways that we bring value to that is obviously we're an enormous sports company. We know that. I don't want to be arrogant or anything like that, but we know we've got size.
Go Messi!
Yeah,
eh?
exactly, right? And to that point, what we can do is we can bind people together with our, what we call Adi Club, and it's Adi Club points. So it's a bit like a currency.
Right.
And what happens is people who work out on our platforms or in our partner platforms have got the opportunity to earn points. Those points can then be redeemed for rewards in store, in our e-com stores, and also through offers that they get from our CRM programs. So talking about Messi, you know, it wouldn't be beyond our ambitions to, you know, run a competition where people can earn points from going for a run, and they could enter into a raffle to win a Messi signed shirt and spend 50 points to get into that. And it's something that only Adidas can offer.
Right.
What's it? You mentioned Gen Z. There was your colleague was doing a presentation this morning about it, which we didn't film. But what's the interest in Gen Z from Adidas perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think every company that is in the business of selling something has got to be interested in the different generations. And I think for us, of course, we are a sports brand. We tend to be tagged as being a young, kind of influential brand. And so every time there's a new generation comes through, it's really on us to understand it, understand what the differences are, what makes them tick, what our place with that brand is, what our relationship with that brand is. And so the interest for us is obviously a new generation of people with a new set of values. How do we connect into it? How do we keep that spirit of our brand alive and relevant to them?
And as I suppose, an entry point, it seems fitness is quite an important part to that demographic. What are some of the other values that you're seeing in terms of whether that's through the mobile app or product influencers? What are some of the key things that you're able to share that maybe you guys see in terms of that audience?
Yeah, they're one of the things I've noticed is they're very caring audience, right? So they love to care for cause, right? They're very interested in what they do and the impact it has on people and also on the planet. One of the things that we do is called Move for the Planet, which is which is an activation we do in the summer where for a short period of time we get our consumers to earn points, and then we translate that into plastic that we take out of the oceans, out of the ecosystem generally. We're connecting that audience's need for a cause to our opportunity to make some change. And that's something that's really important for that particular cohort, that group of people, is they don't want brands that are just going to be full of big statements but not actually do anything. So we really get into really driving change for them, and that's a cause that matters. They're also really interested in what's in it for them, right? So they're a generation that have come up who've learned that most things that they want are accessible, particularly in Western markets, and they are very interested in what's in it for them. That's fine. So that's why the point system that we've got is really interesting, because through not just working out, which is good for their fitness, good for their mental health, that also gives them the points that they can translate into something physical that they can have for themselves.
Right. One of the things that we were talking about last night, and I've heard, and I don't know how much truth in it is, but the younger demographic, their affinity to brands, like maybe some of the other generations, are not quite the same. So they're so they see more in terms of people than a brand itself. I don't know whether this is true, and if it is, just be interested in your perspective of how someone as big and as global as Adidas managed to kind of overcome that. I guess two parts of the question: is that a fair statement? Is that what you've heard or seen?
In what respect?
In respect of they're sort of a little bit anti-global brand.
Right. Yeah. No, I can see where you go. I think that I wouldn't say, certainly I don't feel like they are anti-corporate.
I think what they are is anti-bad behavior.
Right.
Right. So they are very much running a ruler over big companies and saying, does this company match up to, does this company match up to my personal values? So what's really interesting is, from a brand communications or a brand marketing perspective, you've really got to understand what your company offers that connects with those consumers in a way that feels genuine and authentic. And if in any way you're not, you'll get called out.
Yeah.
And how do you, I suppose in your role, which is sort of head of that, how do you have to be differently to probably what you was when you came into your industry?
I came into my industry quite a while ago, actually. So you see a massive difference. It's very much about dialogue and listening. It didn't used to be. It used to be about brands would have a target consumer and would just talk to them, talk at them, and that just doesn't work anymore. No. So what you've got to do is you've got to create the circumstances, you've got to create the communications, the opportunities for consumers to feel like they're entering into a dialogue and genuinely know that they're being listened to. And so that's something we're very, very interested in. We're constantly running studies to understand, is what we're doing making sense to them? Does it connect with them? Can we do better things?
Yeah, that's great. We've just we've got 10,000 people, I guess, shifting through the conference over the next 3 days, and the live filming, which is amazing. The first time that we've done it here in Los Angeles, or in the US actually. Tell us a little bit about, there's a massive activation by you folks. What are you bringing to life there? What experience are you taking people through?
So I'm going to start by saying there's a ton of people that have worked on this, and I'm not going to take any of the credit for what this team have done, right? So one of the great things about being with Adidas is when we do things and we've got the ambition and we've got the scale, we do them really well. Right. And so when you go through the village and you look at the experience that's been put together, one of the first things we want to do is connect into the local community. Right? So we want to make sure that we're not activating in a way that a big brand just has arrived,
dumps,
landed itself in somebody's key city and said, why aren't you pleased that we're here? So we very much look at how can we connect into the culture of the city. We have something called key city teams at Adidas, right? We know, like LA is one of our key cities, and we have teams that know the city inside out. So we would connect with them, understand what works in this city, and then translate that into an experience. So you've got the opportunity in the village to look at the new product. We're obviously extremely proud of the product that we're making. We're making it for the training community. Training as a sport is a big thing. And that's quite a transition because training within the sports industry previously was viewed as a kind of a connector to other different sports. Now it's a sport in its own right. So we really want to bring that to life in the products. And so you get the opportunity to get close up to the products. You also get the opportunity to buy exclusive products. You get the opportunity to see some of the local partners that we work with. You get an opportunity to take the product that you've bought and personalize it. Another big thing for Gen Z, giving it a personal spin, independence. So there's that component to it. And then when you think about the atmosphere in the room, right, you're not walking into a massive warehouse space. It feels a little bit like a club. It feels like it's much more personal. It doesn't feel like a big gaping warehouse. It's got to feel like it's intimate in a sense, despite its size. And that's quite a trick when you're talking 2,500 people or so in that space. To make that feel personable is really, really tough. So, I mean, genuinely hats off to the team that have done it.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. All the best. Well, we're in the presence of greatness. Welcome, Amber Taylor. So the Chief Digital Product Officer for Les Mills. You're a little over a year into the role. You've come to this role from Nike and other places, right? We've just had a phenomenal session at the Business Live here in LA. Tell us a little bit about, so you're really responsible for inheriting the digital journey, I guess, of Les Mills and then taking us further into the future. Tell us a bit about what's happening in that space. Yeah.
It's a huge question.
It is.
So yes, I'm accountable for all of the digital experiences at Les Mills. And the biggest thing we're looking at is Les Mills serves movers, people who want to move or people who want to work out, clubs who want to do great to serve movers, and instructors who are obviously getting trained and certified to be excellent to inspire and delight people. And so we're looking at all of the things that can help them do what they want to do better, easier, faster, and more efficiently. And two things that we're really obsessing recently are how do we really understand and learn and start with the mover or the customer problems and work back from that. And we're finding all kinds of things. One, it's hard to get started with fitness. Yeah. That's a big problem. So we need to be where they are. Two, it's hard to stick with fitness because you have no idea what to do. So how do we start making recommendations and make it easy to figure out the things that are going to help you start and fall in love with different things, starting to use some recs and personalization there. And then how do we nudge you when we think that you're going to go away? And then we're also looking at how do we thread in real life and digital across these three entities, club, instructor, and mover, because everybody's living in real life in a digital world. So how do we start tying these more together so that it's an ecosystem in service of the mover? And we're looking at what are the journeys, what are people going on every day, where are they spending time in real life, where are they spending time digitally? And we're looking at those journeys for all three personas, club, instructor, mover. And Emma, you said earlier today, actually, it's not just a persona. You have to look at the individual level, but we're really trying to obsess at those high layers for now and looking at where are people spending time, how can we make it more efficient and more delightful. So as an example, clubs need to find the best instructors. Instructors need to find clubs to go work at. How do we make that journey dead simple? How do we just help introduce them and get them into a relationship so that they can do what they love to do? Same thing with the mover and some of what I was talking to earlier. So starting with those mover and customer problems and opportunities, and then looking at how do we tie together this ecosystem to make it seamless and cross in real life and digital in service of helping. Those are the big things we're obsessing.
Not too much then.
No, yeah, so walk in the park.
Yeah, easy peasy.
What's been your biggest, I guess, insight so far? Because you're a year in, which, you know, you're probably just becoming dangerous now. Like, what on earth? Because it's a very complex company. It's global. It's over 100 companies. It's got many, many instructors, many, many different facets, and some pretty powerful personalities in there as well. Yeah. What's been your biggest insight so far?
Oh, gosh. These are big, hard questions.
Well, you're the one to deliver them. You can do it.
I think there are a couple that are really coming top of mind. One is the company's nearly 55 years old.
Right.
And to the point on we serve club, instructor, and mover, we grew up as a B2B company. We grew up selling into clubs and then training and certifying the best instructors. And that's a slightly different DNA than digital. So it's how do we take this amazing history and insights and everything that built us to be as successful as we are today, which is pretty phenomenal and very rare. Even coming, as you mentioned, from Nike and from Amazon, we are coming with all of these insights in this history that they're building blocks that are getting better and better. But it's an evolution because it's not just B2B anymore. And then we're looking at, we quite often say, well, it's complex or it can be complex. But our job is to make it simple. We've got to make the whole ecosystem for fitness simple. And that includes how we serve those three entities as a business, how we serve the mover working backwards because then all ships will rise. But we can't just justify it's complicated, so we're going to keep it being complicated. The analogy I have for that, and it's kind of a gross and a weird analogy, and I don't even like Italian food, but bear with me, is it's like you take a whole, you do, so you might like this, but it's like you take a whole bunch of spaghetti and then you shove it into lasagna and you go, look, it's lasagna, it's simple, but it's absolutely not simple. If you cut it open, it's everywhere and it's not great. We need to make it simple. We need to truly make it simple so that we can have scalable, seamless solutions for our customers, those three entities, and for ourselves, so that we can 2x, 10x business, so that we can have a bigger impact. And I think the insights, kind of if I boil it down to the key insights, are we are sitting on a treasure trove of amazing history, knowledge, this incredible foundation. And actually the thing I would add to that is a treasure trove of so much content and so much data, both data from the research and the great things that we do with universities and our PhD partners, but data from what people are doing, what clubs, instructors, and movers are doing. We are sitting on a gold mine. So how do we take that and simplify it? And simplifying things is not easy. We can't have the spaghetti lasagna situation. And the insight is, that's fine, that's the journey. That's where we're going. We get to take this treasure trove and then serve at scale. And to me, that's the most exciting thing we can do, because we get to take complicated treasure trove of things that will help people, and then we get to help people. And that's the cool part about being in technology. And of course, I'm incredibly biased, but it helps scale it. It helps do that 10x for the globe. And that's the journey that we're on now.
The panel that you were just on, Emma, was talking a bit about AI. How do you see that playing into your role? And what are some of the things that you're spending more time thinking about that are likely to become more and more relevant over the next year or so or beyond?
Beyond, yeah. I love this question, and I love AI. I've worked in science and AI probably for 15 years now, so a lot of the things that I've worked on over time, that's been a key theme to it. But of course now AI is becoming much more democratized and much easier to use and embed. The biggest thing, back to starting with the mover and working back from that, is before we look at applying AI, we're looking at what are the biggest problems we can solve, and then where is it a fit for AI to help. And those are both internal problems and external problems. So as an example, we launched V1, version 1 of personalization. So when a new mover comes into the Les Mills Plus app, they will fill out an onboarding form, and we will dynamically create recommendations for them based on their explicit triggers and information. But then we're improving the science behind that, the machine learning behind that, so that we can take all of their implicit behaviors and what they're telling us through what they do, where they stop with specific content, any other touch point and tests, and we're turning that into better personalization for them. We've also started using AI. Unfortunately, we had some people in some of our communities being mean, not being very nice, and we want to support people being honest, and we will always take real feedback, but we will not support people being hateful or mean or saying things that could potentially hurt other people. And so we're using AI to start automatically scrubbing out, are there hate words that are potentially dangerous, and we just nix them right off because we just can't stand for that. And then of course we're trying to do human education in that too, but AI to automate so that we can continue to push things out at scale, but have it be a bit safer for people. And then we're starting to look more at AI in the world of how do we serve clubs and instructors. So more to come in this space, but it's things like what's trending in a certain region, so that we can then tell the club, hey, did you know that there's these day parts and these things that people are doing? Here's a suggestion. But the ideal will be to automate that so that clubs can just have a pull of information to help them do better in their job. And that'll be powered by science. And it's science powered by training data predicated on what's the problem we're solving. So I think there's a lot coming in this space, and there's a lot more that we'll be able to announce soon. Emma and I were talking secrets in the hall, but we absolutely look at AI as a catalyst to help us scale more in a smart, customer-centric way. But we're spending a heap of time really looking at what are the customer needs, and then when AI is the appropriate solution, we'll use it.
Right.
When it's not the appropriate solution, we won't use it.
Yeah.
And out of interest, just you picked up on the point you just made then. What is the delta between implicit and explicit? Like, that's really interesting to me. Like, what are you seeing there?
Oh gosh, so I don't have a lot of trends or data points for this, but I'll give you an example of what the delta could be.
Right.
Explicit is when a mover will tell us what they want. Maybe a mover will say, and again, this is not a real data point, it's just an example. Maybe a mover will say, I work out 4 days a week for an hour each time, and I'm super fit. But then we will see what they're actually doing in the app, and they're working out 2 days a week, and they fall off after the first 10 minutes in a workout. So the explicit behavior doesn't the implicit behavior doesn't match what they explicitly told us. Somebody told me a funny example, and I won't say the name of the company, but I loved this example so much. When people were taking a survey or in public at a restaurant, they would say, I really want the green juice and the salad and I want to be healthy, and that's what I want you to have more because I'm going to order that more. But then when they got home and they were on their phone and they were placing the order, it was beer and burger and fries. Yeah. So we need to track what people say and what they do, and we really need to listen to both of them, because sometimes what you're saying is a journey that you're going towards. And the beauty is the algorithms can train on that, but you have to be able to track both, because otherwise you're just serving one side of what a human being is actually feeling and doing.
We see this forever in the club world. You think, oh, how many times do you think you'll be coming to the gym? Everyone sort of says 3 to 4 times a week, and it'll be for an hour, and then you track it and it's like once a week or once a month even.
And then the beauty with that is after we can start looking at the delta and what they're saying and what they're actually doing, then we can follow up and say, hey, was that a goal? And if they tell us it's a goal, cool. But then we can automate the things. Yes, we can automate the things to help them get there, which is a great problem to have, because then we can serve even more. But we're starting to really track and obsess those two things.
Great.
Do you think the technology allows us to be in a better position to solve problems? Because as you said, the goal is to figure out the most important problems and work out how to solve them. The big question is, how do you find out what those real problems are? And the example you gave is a lot of times what people tell you is a problem may not be the underlying issue. And so are you using technology to actually really precisely get accurate in terms of what
those problems are?
Yeah.
There's a couple, yes, Anne, there's a couple layers to that. So we look a lot at general world and market segment data. The World Health Organization report on health and fitness is one of my favorite resources to look at. It's also incredibly depressing. So to the point on monitoring your sleep and your HRV score, I would not read it before going to bed, because what it's showing is obesity is going up, fitness is going down, mental health is going down. That's heartbreaking. So that's data at a worldwide scale. And then we look at, well, where is it happening and where are there diffs in different parts of the world, just so that we can have a high-level story. And then within Les Mills, we have a team called Voice of the Customer. Voice of the Customer. And they go and do a lot of user studies and user research. So we'll do interviews, we'll do observation sessions and tracking, we'll do NPS surveys and scores, and we do that with movers and clubs and instructors so that we can have more of a dialogue to get more data on where are their problem points. And then we start looking at where are there other places where we're getting data on potential problem points. So we obsess our customer service queries. We want to know where people are having problems, because we want to make it automatic to fix them. We don't want people to have to contact us ever, so we obsess that. And then we also look at what's going on in our funnel. How are we starting to have conversations with people? Again, clubs, instructors, and movers. How do we continue the conversations, and then where are we seeing people drop out? And in the mover example, that could be getting started with fitness was too scary, or the hurdle was too high to install an app or find a gym. And then we look at, okay, well, our job is to make that easier. And then we come to what's the right science to help with it. AI is absolutely going to be some of the science to help with it, but it's not the only one. The other thing that's a big conversation internally is, as we're starting to use AI, how do we make sure that the training data that feeds into AI is balanced? Because AI and the output of an algorithm is only as good as the training data that was the input into it. So we're really starting to look at, well, do we have are we using the right partners who have the right solutions for us? We work a lot with Amazon and Google, and they're great because they have things that we can use off the shelf that can help with some of the algorithms. And or, as we're starting to compile this data, is it a true holistic data set? So it's not just 43-year-old white women, because that would be a terrible personalization algorithm or experience for the vast majority of the audience.
Fantastic, yeah.
As you plan forward, I mean, this is interesting. We're in such dynamic times. I mean, things have never been, this fast, and they're just going to continue to accelerate in many different ways. The number one word that we've heard in the corridors the whole time we've been here at Les Mills Live has been innovation. And it's just, with Adidas and with Meta here and, with the many other partnerships that we've been hearing about all day at the Business Live. How do you balance innovating? Because you can also, if you're at the bleeding edge, it costs a lot of money because you're trying to create a world that doesn't exist yet. And everyone thinks they're on trend or at the front of the trend. And I'm like, sweetheart, you're actually right in the middle of a trend that everyone's doing. Yeah. So how do you balance, I guess, future investments and direction? Because we also heard from Anand from Meta, just we've been surprised by some of the stuff that's come out of like Insta, Facebook, Meta, like the whole thing. We don't always know where it's going. So how do you balance the future play with having to always be changing? Because that's a real cost. And also the culture change that has to be with that, the mindset, the curiosity you talked about just now. How do you manage those two tensions, I guess?
Oh, gosh. You guys are asking very big questions.
Well, you're up for it. Come on, you can do it.
So on that one, I think some of it is we'll make small bets and then we'll observe and see, is this what's going to move people? And I did mean that pun, so that one was pun intended. VR was a small bet, and it turns out people love it, and it's a hugely fast-growing channel and way that we can engage with our movers, so we're leaning into it more. We're also looking at where do we, and actually Mo Iqbal said this really well, where do we need to build versus where can we partner for great innovation? So in the example of VR, we don't have to be experts in that. We're experts in great fitness content. We have to be experts in great fitness content, but we don't have to be experts in all of the science and some of the application of that. So as we look at innovation, we look at where are there really smart, incredible partners who have the same ethos as us, who just want to serve other people, and then we partner with them to start testing and learning. I think, candidly, I think the internal one and the company change is one of the big ones because we are on a journey, and I think having been around the block for a long time in big companies, change for any company is hard. Change is just hard because it's the human element to everything. I'm very proud of Les Mills and how we're changing because what we're doing is we're changing on behalf of customers with a human-centric mindset, and our whole team is involved in the conversations for the change, including ideating on future innovation. I mean, much of our company is Gen Z and millennials, so we have the great benefit of getting to interview people and learn from our company for the future. But then as we're doing that, we say, hey, are we really optimized and set up to take this as quickly as we can? Because what we don't want is layers of bureaucracy getting in the way of innovation. Then everybody fails. It's exhausting, and you never deliver anything new to the customers who actually need it. So we're taking the company on that journey with everybody, leading with where do we not where do we want to go, because to your point with innovation, there's no direct map. If there were, everybody would be a unicorn and retired on Manhattan Beach somewhere. But
without a car park.
Yeah, without a car park. Maybe they would be retired with a helicopter park. But it's more, where do we think that we can continuously improve to serve our customers? And what can we test to be great there? And honestly, the biggest thing, and we changed our company's hero metric, is how many total movers do we have and what's our total movements? How many people are we moving every week? So that's what we're obsessing. It's a big problem statement. How can we help more people move, period? And then we can test and learn and innovate into that. The most important thing, I think, though, in all of this is celebrating when things fail and being okay when they fail, but then making the call really fast. Because I think the worst thing is failing and justifying it and continuing to invest more. And one thing I'm really proud of Les Mills with is we've tested a lot of things, we've failed at some things, and then we stopped them. And that's awesome.
Cue Amazon and every other innovative company, right?
Yeah, it's exactly what we have to do. Yeah. And honestly, if we were winning in every innovation, we would not be leaning far enough. No, truly, we'd be boring innovation.
Yeah. So my last question: what's your proudest thing so far? Like, what's your proudest?
At Les Mills.
At Les Mills, yeah.
The team. To be honest with you, I think I love this company so much, and I'm not just saying that because I'm at a Les Mills conference. I love this
You'd
company.
like to do a second year.
I would like to do 25 more years. The team is incredible. It's people who really obsess the customer, obsess simplifying. I get to come in. We have an internal phrase called winning together. They love to work together so that we can win on behalf of our customers in the business. We challenge each other, tons of different mindsets and different thinking. The team is from all over the globe, and so I get to learn a lot every day from people and learn a lot from different walks in business, which is fascinating. But the people at this company in general are hands down the kindest people I have ever had the benefit of working with. And so I guess it's not a personal pride. I'm proud of the digital products team because they have been on a journey we just formed as a single group, and then to simplify, and then to innovate, and then we have been changing how we're working. We're more agile, we're in sprints, we're doing a lot of different things. But yeah, I'm super proud of the team.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Amazing.
you. So much fun. Love talking to you as always. We'll become new Talk Best friends too. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So I'm starstruck. I found some of the new generation of Les Mills. This is Kaylah-Blayr, Fitzsimons-Nu'u, one of the ambassadors for Les Mills, which means she gets to travel around the globe, but also you create the programs. Tell us a little bit what's been going on. So we're filming classes live. What are you teaching this round, presenting?
So this round I've got Les Mills Dance, was like #1, the very first launch of Les Mills Dance, super exciting. I've got Les Mills Tone and Les Mills Body Step as well, the new functional body step because the format's been changed. So a lot of new exciting innovations this round.
Absolutely. Now we're backstage here at the Athletes Village, which is a whole journey.
Yeah.
Tell us what happens for the presenters team. So you and Mark and all the other PDs created programs when, and then what happened?
Yeah, so as soon as we finished the last round of filming, so we finished that round maybe like 3 or 4 months ago now. As soon as we finished filming the last release, we're straight onto this one because it was a really short turnaround. And then we got them all done, sent them off to the instructors. They had about 2 weeks to film themselves, send it back to us, get reviewed. And we all came together. We've been here for about 3 days. They should know their stuff by now. And it's all about stage placements and team bonding now. So yeah, we're about to go and film our first 2 programs tomorrow. And now we've got some people already filming, but it's been an awesome experience. And everyone's very prepared, which is nice and what you want.
How many countries and how many people on stage this round?
I think they were saying around 100 countries are coming through. And I think we have around about 300 presenters.
Right, that is enormous. And lots of new blood coming, right?
Yeah. So we've got lots of people who have never presented before, and like Global Development Squad having their first little go at the presenting round as well.
Right.
So it's exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
And then you are Gen Z, so you are the new market, which is going to be the big powerhouse in terms of spend, attendance and clubs.
Yeah.
How would you say your generation is shifting fitness generally? In club, at home, anywhere?
Yeah, I guess like from the pandemic, they took a real liking to doing fitness, not because of the way it makes you look, but the way it makes you feel. And mental health was a huge thing for the Gen Z, the younger generation, going through COVID, especially going through school times. So it's just about like feel, not about the look, and it's about supporting and just having a good mental mind while you go throughout your journeys. Yeah.
Thank you, this is amazing.
Yay.
Thank you so much for your insights.
Nice to see you.
Kaylah-Blayr, let's go.
Let's go.
So we're here with Dan, talking about some fantastic technology behind me. Tell us a little bit about what we're kind of looking at here.
Sure. So this is our virtual reality body combat program, and really it's been inspired by the Body Combat fitness class by Les Mills International that we've been in the industry for 25, 30 years. And so we've done like a bespoke version with inside an immersed environment. And so we've taken like the best of what you do in a live environment, but we now make it really more inclusive and individualized. And so we've got different environments, different types of strikes, a lot of similar strikes that you do in a real class, but then a gamified thing that you wouldn't do. So like battle rope slams, and you might have a sword in your hand. It's all very cool stuff.
All right. What devices can you actually use this on?
Currently right now we have Meta, so we've got Oculus Quest 2, it's coming out on the Oculus Quest 3, the Pro. We're already looking at a mixed reality version as well. We have PlayStation VR 2, we've got HTC and Pico.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the fitness space, what came before this, and how is this probably different to what most people would have seen in, as it relates to fitness games?
It's a good question. There is nothing like this prior to this. Like, this is it. Like, we're pioneering in terms of Les Mills programming and inside technology. And so up until this point, working out on a VR, on a headset, hasn't been at the forefront of the industry. Gaming has, and so we're right at the very beginning of where does fitness start and where does gaming stop? Or where does gaming start and fitness stop, and what is the blend? What can you do and what can't you do? That technology is moving incredibly fast. When we first started the project back in 2021, we had very little experience about how to even use the headset. We launched in 2022, February. By the end of 22, we were voted the best fitness app on the Oculus Quest store, and then the most downloaded favorable app. We're already halfway through 2023, and we're already right now the #1 on the Oculus Quest store right now.
Les Mills is known for their music. What's the situation with the audio side of this product?
Sure, and so to diversify and to be able to really anchor down on something that we can own, we have what's called LMAs, they're Les Mills artists. So we have all of the legal contracts and all the rights to be able to use the music in any domain that we want. So we take all of our knowledge, all of the magic that we take from original music, and then we mold that so it fits the workout. Because the music always comes first. Always. As much as we think, these combinations or these exercises would fit a song, no way. The music determines the journey and the brilliance and the outcome. The duration, the volume, the intensity, the feel, the fun, all of that magic.
So with the regular combat, there's obviously no feedback in terms of what you're doing and your performance level. How have you been able to gamify or add some kind of metric into the virtual product?
Sure, and this is where technology is amazing. And so in a real life class, you have an instructor that stands up and teaches you in a live situation, and the instructor can look out and help with critique, maybe its form, or create a certain like a level of connection. Now, inside the headset, we have a basic, an intermediate, and an advanced style of the game. And so that's both for fitness levels as well as complexity. In the basic level, we're speaking directly to you about how to do the moves. In the intermediate levels, we're talking about how to really develop, how to execute, and so that's muscle recruitment and all those benefits. In the advanced variation, we're also bringing a huge amount of motivation, because once you've played the game 2 or 3 times, you with great intuition, you already know how to do a jab and a cross, you know how to do the knee, you've gone through all the mini tutorials, so now you just want to be in it. And so we're in your ear just guiding you, all of that motivation, all of that inspiration. And we speak a lot to that kinesthetic awareness, deep feelings, like what are you feeling right now? And that, with being immersed with inside the game, yeah.
So is there any scoring involved? So can you get better or compete with anyone like that as well?
Sure. And it's something that whilst you can do, we don't sort of shout from the rooftop, because we already know that some people, they want to be winner on the scoreboard, and other people, they just want to experience it. So you have the ability to be able to turn the scoreboard on and off. We have like these other gamified combos. So if you have like a running streak, let's say you hit 50 targets in a row without missing, your gloves start to glow up, and then you can start earning more points. And so these are like tiny things of how you can take fitness and then add some of that gamification to it. So it's not too much of one thing, not too much of everything, and absolutely guaranteed. Say this with complete passion. You take the headset off and you're like, what just happened? I never thought I was going to have a workout the way I thought I was going to have a workout. So I encourage people, just find out for yourself.
Are you finding that this is opening your brand up to a different audience? My guess is I've got an 11 and 12-year-old. I could kind of see them doing it. So are you seeing skewing to a younger audience because of the kind of gamification part of it?
Sure. And whilst we not that we focused on Gen Z, but we know that Gen Alpha and Gen Z.
What's Alpha? Is that?
That's the kids your age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, I think that's sort of like
underneath the Z's.
Yes,
A. Okay.
Yeah, like the little ones, the toddlers right now. But yet the diversity, the demographic of people that are doing the workouts are really vast. You know, like my mum does it, you know, and she's nearly in her 70s. Deconditioned people that want to just get back into it, people that already love the Les Mills brand, are curious about seeing it. Gamers that are not into fitness, that they try, they're like, oh, maybe I actually want to do fitness. And so it's really quite broad.
And final question, you've obviously learnt a lot. From what I understood, it was a pleasant surprise that this took off as well as what it did.
Absolutely.
Where are you thinking this could go over the next few years? You know, first product, what's the potential for this kind of idea in the fitness space?
Sure, well, technology is building really, really quickly, right? And so, like, you've got these headsets. I've already seen what the next version of the headset looks like. It's lighter, it's more agile. Give it 15 months from now, who knows? It's going to be like ski goggles. Give it 2 years from now, it'll be like sunglasses. And so when that happens and you start doing things like mixed reality, which is happening right now, we're already starting to do a bespoke version of the current format in mixed reality. All of a sudden you're like, so I can see my hands and I can see my pets and I can see the children right in front of me, which allows me to have a little bit more visual equilibrium. It's like, okay, cool. So my balance is going to be better. So whilst I'm immersed in the game, maybe I can start doing different variables in my exercise. Maybe we start including kicks. Maybe we start doing movements that's on and off the spot, that's adding more variety, more engagement, better results, mass market. And so I know I'd love for you to interview me in 3 years from now and say, do you remember when we were pioneering something? Yeah. So wherever the technology goes, we try and, whilst we can have those great conversations with all the different coders, we ourselves already know what we want the game to be and to look like, you know, certainly over the next 2 years. Don't want to go a little beyond that because it may go down. Like, do you remember what Blu-ray DVD was going to be the next thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. I suppose with this, I think the mixed reality is going to be interesting because I think. Just personally, I think that's quite exciting. You know, my kids like that, but you're right. You come out and you're in a different world, and they're almost like, I want to go back. You know, I see my kids; they want to go back into that world because they're so amazing. I like the idea of the virtual, the mixed reality. I think that could be quite interesting because you can actually almost act as normal, but you can have all this other stuff going. So
sure, and you see your real furniture, right? And then all of a sudden the target comes in front of you. At the same time, though, I like the ability to go from the game to mixed back to the game again. I like the haptics. I like holding something and then it gives me feedback. Like it,
right.
You know,
are you into the? Are you creating those? What are those? What are the things called that you can hold and wear and the sort of
it's like wearable devices?
Yeah.
No, that's something that we don't do. So myself and Rach, we create the content and all the music and all of that feeling and all of the coaching that overlays.
Right.
But then we align with Otters Lab. They design the environments and the coding.
Right.
So that relationship comes together is like amazing. They're the best at what they do.
Right. What are those things called? Like my friend does this for gamers, and where you get the vibration. Is it called haptic?
The haptic, yeah. And you'll get that on the current controller.
You can get it on the controller.
And on the headset.
Okay.
Like, so for example, when the wall comes towards you and you've got to get out the way, you know if you've missed it, because it's just like, you know.
Right, okay. That's cool.
And the other thing is like you slip out the way and you hit it, and if you hit it harder, the thing explodes. And
I'm gonna have a go.
Yeah.
Now you're excited. I want to try it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've got any value from it whatsoever, then please do us a favor, like, subscribe, tell somebody, and that will help us to be able to continue to do more of these and help you escape your own personal limits. Thanks for listening.